nuwe Riverside Lodge in Groot Brakrivier maak steeds geskiedenis. As deel van Bynes Lodge Internasionaal, huisves dit een van CSN se 3 gesondheidsklinieke. Hier word gaste gehelp om drasties gewig te verloor en van leefstylsiektes soos diabetes en hoë bloeddruk verlig te word. Kry binne 10 dae 'n splinternuwe lyf. CSN-kenners leer jou om gesond te eet en te leef hier by die kliniek of met 'n tuisprogram. Die CSN-leefstyl word ondersteun deur natuurlike produkte wat ook by die kliniek te koop is. Hier het ek 45 kilos verloor en my lewe teruggekry. Vandag is ek gesond, sonder enige hoë bloeddruk of cholesterol en my pasaangeer is afgesit. Danksy CSN. Bespreek vandag jou plek en bestel produkte by csnc.co.za.
A great welcome to all our viewers. We have the privilege to be at the Cullinan Hotel in the beautiful Cape Town. Our guest on our program today is Garry Reed, the General Manager from the Cullinan. We met Garry 3 years ago when we were doing the Healthy Hotel initiative in the Western Cape. We had this competition with the Tokusan hotels, the 7 hotels in the Western Cape, and we wanted to see who's going to be the healthiest hotel after a year of healthy choices with their before lifestyle and their after lifestyle. And obviously, Garry and his team from Cullinan win this not only in the first year, but also in the second year.
Thank you, Hayla. Garry, welcome to our program. Could you maybe tell our viewers a little bit about your lifestyle before you discovered a healthy lifestyle?
Thank you for having me on the show. My lifestyle before I discovered a healthy lifestyle was definitely one of late nights, early mornings, eating really bad food and making some very bad food choices. In the hospitality business, we often have to entertain people, and that leads us to eating, a lot of unhealthy food. I think the important thing to note is that I didn't really know what choices to make, and that probably was the one thing for me that was difficult. So what I would do is I would eat a very, very high sort of sugar-based diet, and I also ate excessive amounts of carbohydrates because I didn't really understand what my body needed and what my body wanted. I also ate at the wrong times, so I ate very late at night, and I didn't really eat first thing in the morning because inevitably if you didn't sleep really well and you had very little sleep, you also wake up in the morning not really hungry, so your body clock changes, and that's definitely something that was different. I also consumed a lot of alcohol, not that I don't consume any alcohol anymore, but I consumed excessive amounts of alcohol, sort of 5 nights a week, where I've now changed that, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later. So that definitely was a difference. I did no exercise whatsoever, so it was definitely just a ticking time bomb, really, because I was putting rubbish into my body and I was absolutely doing nothing about it.
Garry, tell us, what was a catalyst that inspired you to make this change from an unhealthy lifestyle to a healthy lifestyle?
Thanks, Hayla. There definitely was more than one thing that happened in my life. Firstly, my son was born around about the same time that I made that decision, and for me that really inspired me to think that I have to be a bit healthier because I really wanted to live a long life, and I wanted to spend a lot of time with my son.
Yeah.
Also, I realized that I couldn't really be active with him because I was quite overweight and I was very unhealthy and my body just didn't really want to move.
And tiredness is one of the things that goes with that.
Absolutely. Yes. So that definitely was one thing that inspired me. I also really felt that when we started the program that you initiated in the hotel, it was something that was like a goal that we could work towards. And because that program really pushed us into a direction, and I think I'm quite a competitive person, and we didn't want to lose.
We realized that
we didn't want to lose. So it was important for us to win, and I think that really was something that drove us to take this thing very seriously. And I've never looked back.
Example.
Absolutely, and it was important because a lot of our staff, I think, felt the same way I did, and we needed to make that change. And through the initiative that you guys started, definitely helped us do that.
Garry, this must have been an unbelievable journey with many challenges. Tell us a bit about the challenges that you experienced during this time?
The challenge is definitely something on the journey that was one of the toughest things. I think nutrition in general, and speaking out of a layman's term, it's quite convenient to eat rubbish, and it's quite easily accessible.
Yeah.
So I think one of the challenges was to try and find out a bit more about real food and a bit more about fresh food and about food in its real sort of natural environment. I think the other challenge for me was getting to know my body. So I really need to understand what works for me, because we're all different. So I'm not a big believer that we all have to follow one diet. I believe you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
So as an example, my body battles to consume carbohydrates, but some of my other family members, they can consume carbohydrates with no problem. And my body is quite easy on fats, where some of my other family members in our family, they can't eat fat. So I think that was a big challenge for us, to try and find sort of the common ground that works for everybody in our family. That was probably the biggest challenge. And also to convince the rest of my family that I wanted to make this decision, because everyone looks at you and they think you're going to fail. So to convince them that I'm really dedicated and I'm really committed and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And they then bought into it, and it really made a big difference in our whole family. So that definitely was a challenge.
And I think also sticking with it, you know. Sometimes I think you start with something and the soon you get disencouraged because people think, oh no, this is just a new thing. For you to stuck it out now for nearly 3 years, I think that's absolutely praiseworthy.
I think people think that it's an instant gratification,
Yes.
so it happens quickly, and I think that's probably the biggest mistake. If I could give people advice at some stage, that would be the advice I give them.
Yeah, just to start, small changes,
Absolutely.
baby steps,
Correct.
and keep with it. Eventually,
Absolutely.
whatever you start in terms of changing habits, will realize.
It must become a way of life, and I mean,
Exactly.
I think that's definitely the answer.
Yeah, thank you, Garry. Viewers, on this high note, we're going to go to the kitchen and look at what Johan is cooking up for us. Today he's baking a healthy bread. Now obviously for those of you who've heard that we're not supposed to eat bread again in our lives, or we're never supposed to eat fruit in our lives, it's absolutely totally unrealistic. This is why we call it the anti-diet generation. There's no way that you can have a diet that follows just like fat and meat, or low fat this or low fat that. We have to eat natural, and we have to have a balance in it and know our bodies, as Garry is saying. So for those of you who gave up on bread because of banting, no. We're going to go to the kitchen and see how a wonderful bread is made from the start to the end. So over to the kitchen, to Johan.
Kykers, ons is in die kombuis saam met Johan vandag en Johan gaan vir ons 'n wonderlike gesonde broodjie maak. Johan, sê 'n bietjie vir ons, wat is al hierdie bestanddele wat jy in jou broodjie gaan sit?
Teresa, is eintlik baie eenvoudig, weet jy. Suiwer water en dan het ons sout. Die sout het ook nie vloeiagente in nie, want gewoonlik in van die soutte is daar 'n anti-caking agent wat eintlik aluminium silikaat is, en dan het ons lewendige koring.
Okay.
Verkieslik organiese graan wat nie glikofosfaat en pestisiede op het nie.
Ja.
So hierdie is skoon koring.
Okay.
Hierdie was nou die vars gemaalde koring. Ons het net nou hierdie nog lewendige koring. So hierdie is lewendige saad, ek kan dit plant. Hierdie meel, as ek dit plant, dan ontbind dit verder.
Ek verstaan.
Dit is nou besig om af te gaan. So voor dit afgaan moet 'n brood gemaak word.
Alright.
En dan hierdie is gis. Hier is nog kitsgis, maar in ons boek verduidelik ons mense hoe om op die einde van die dag jou eie
Dis reg, ja.
suurdeeg te maak. Want jou eie suurdeeg is baie beter as hierdie moderne weergawe van dat jy 'n pakkie oopsny met 'n skêr en die gis uitgooi. Weet jy wil eintlik met die suurdeeg maak, want die suurdeeg is 'n langer fermentasieproses en hy breek die koring, hy halfpad verteer die koring vir ons weer. So dis baie beter weergawe.
Okay, wonderlik. Kykers, as ons weer terugkom, gaan Johan al hierdie goedjies bymekaar gooi en vir ons wys die metode hoe om hierdie broodjie aan mekaar te sit.
Shake up and slim down, the Mana way.
Welcome back, viewers. Garry, before the break, you were telling us a bit about your unhealthy lifestyle previously. Tell us a bit about your current lifestyle and what you're going through at the moment and how you've adjusted to being from the unhealthy to the healthy lifestyle.
Thanks, Teresa. So I think the most important thing is that I understand my body much better. So I know exactly which time of the day I should eat. I also know what I should eat, which is very important. And I know how much of it I should eat. I think that cutting out majorities of sugar in my diet has made a big difference because sugar is so addictive. But I think the most important thing is balance. I now spend a lot of time exercising, which I didn't do before, and a lot of people laughed at me when I started, but I really enjoy it and I've made a lot of new friends. So over a 3-year period, I've lost just over 20 kilograms in body weight, and I really feel much more energized. So that's definitely the difference. I eat a lot more fresh sort of food, so fresh vegetables, fresh fruit in moderation. I try to eat very little processed food, but I think it's also important that every now and then that life happens. I mean, I've got 2 small children, and it's quite tough to tell them that you can't have an ice cream. So, you have to every now and then, also just live life with your kids a little bit and teach them in moderation to live their life. And I think that's the most important thing. Everything we do is in moderation, and I try and live my healthy lifestyle at least 85 to 90% of the time. And that's really what the biggest difference is between my previous lifestyle and my current lifestyle.
And you would also say that you make informed choices.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I know what to choose, and I've been exposed to it, and I know what my body likes, and I know what my body can consume, and I know what's good for my body. I can make the right decisions now to do around that. I'll give you a silly example. I used to love dairy because I loved dairy, and I grew up eating a lot of dairy, and then I realized later on in life that my body. I just realized that my body is not tolerant to dairy. So I had to make a decision, and I've changed it where I eat very little dairy now, where before I ate a lot of dairy. So it's just because I've been informed and I understand it much better. And I made a decision. I mean, that's the most important thing. You must want to change, and you must want to make that choice. And people have this idea that living healthy is an expensive exercise, but it really isn't. It's probably the other way around. It's probably actually cheaper to live healthier than it is to live unhealthy.
Garry, in terms of your family, your children and your wife, how did they adapt, and what is your natural pattern now as a family?
In the beginning it was very difficult, probably more difficult for my wife than for my kids, because kids are quite susceptible to change, but for my wife it was a bit difficult. She's very blessed that she has lived quite a healthy life most of her life. But the pattern for us now is that we make sure that we eat first thing in the morning, so that the kids also get a healthy breakfast. We try and we definitely don't do any cereals or any pre-packed anything. So my wife and I actually are now up early physically making breakfast. So whether it's boiling eggs or cooking eggs, or whether it's cutting up fruit, or whether it's eating yogurt, that's important for us, that we're spending a lot of time together. So we also ensure that we're eating a bit more protein. Our kids are much more active than they were before. So my daughter does ballet and she swims, and my son plays football and he's busy at school. So they're very active in terms of keeping exercising. So we try and eat a little bit more proteins and a bit less sort of carbohydrates. Amazing how your kids become so addicted to certain food items, and when you try and change it, it puts a lot of pressure on your family. I remember screaming matches between kids because they wanted to eat 2-minute noodles. And it's amazing when you take that away from them, how that addiction starts, how that food addiction starts, like it's almost like withdrawal symptoms, and they start acting like almost like what a drug addict would act when they go cold turkey. So once we've made those changes, we actually can see the change in our children, and they feel better, they sleep better, and their health is better too. So.
And obviously their attention at school will be better because of the high quality of food that they consume. Thank you, Garry.
Garry, tell us a bit about, you've obviously changed your lifestyle, but you haven't changed your job. So you're still in the same industry where you've been previously, and like you said previously, doing the functions with the colleagues and drinking that glass of wine and being in the hospitality industry, I think it's a little bit more difficult than being in other industry. And tell us the challenges or the changes that you've had to make still being in the industry and changing your lifestyle.
Correct. I haven't changed my job. So I think in corporate South Africa today that it's actually quite the in thing to be healthy. So although I haven't changed my job, a lot of my colleagues and industry partners has changed their outlook as well. I mean, probably 15 years ago, if you walked into a meeting or a boardroom, everyone spoke about how many whiskeys they drank the night before. Today, when you walk into a boardroom, everyone talks about how far they rode their bicycle, or how far they ran, or how far they swam, or what activities they took part in on the weekend. So it's almost one of those sort of adapt or die type situations. So although I don't think we've changed our industry, I think South Africa has changed in terms of, or corporate South Africa has definitely changed in terms of being healthy and having a healthy lifestyle. And I think it's just understanding. I mean, and also speaking to people before the time and understanding what they're going to be serving and what the food is like and stuff like that. So often I tend to, if it's a late function, I tend to eat dinner before, and then when I arrive there, I just courtesy take a bite or two and then take it from there. So
You're not over hungry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we also teach our viewers it's not about willpower, it's about choices.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't have willpower to brush my teeth. I make a choice
Choice
to
to
brush my
absolutely.
teeth. So if you make the right choices when you get there, you're prepared.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Garry. Well, we're going to go to Johan and see how that healthy bread is coming along. And then after the ad break, we'll take it from there. See you just now.
Kykers, ons is weer terug in die kombuis by Johan en by die vorige besoekie het Johan bietjie vir ons verduidelik wat alles in hierdie broodjie inkom en hy gaan nou bietjie vir ons verduidelik, Johan, hoe maak jy hierdie broodjie? Hoe sit jy al hierdie goed bymekaar en maak jy hierdie broodjie?
So. Ja, jy haal jou skoon water, jy vat jou lewendige koring, dan maal jy dit, dan is dit meel. Dan jy die meel, dan gooi jy bietjie sout by en bietjie gis by. Dan meng jy dit in 'n bak, dan meng jy dit mooi deur en dan voeg jy water stelselmatig by.
Ja?
En dan knie jy vir.
Ja?
En
Hoe lank knie jy hom, Johan?
dis vat so seker 2, 3, 4 minute.
Okay.
En afhangende van hoe geoefen mens is. En dan laat ek hom reis gewoonlik. Ek laat hom gewoonlik reis vir so 'n halfuur.
Ja?
As hy begin reis het, dan knie ek hom weer af.
Okay.
En as hy weer afgeknie is, dan sit ek hom in die pan wat nou gebotter was.
Ja.
En ja, hierdie is ek omtrent so 'n uur se reis.
Alright.
Dalk bietjie meer met hierdie brood. Maar ja, so.
En wat gaan ons nou met hom maak? Ons gaan hom nou in die oond druk.
Yes, ons gaan hom in die oond druk. En dit is ons sit hom in.
Wat sit jy jou oond op, Johan?
Nee, ons stel hom gewoonlik tot 175.
Okay.
En ja, letterlik as hy op temperatuur is 55 minute in die oond. As hy
My name is Ellis Heenan. I've been a pharmacist for over 50 years. I got involved in alternative medicine and during the 1990s consulted for a public company in private label marketing. The firm was more interested in the profit motive as opposed to the content of the vitamin, and I vowed one day that I would formulate my own multivitamin. Come and join me as I'd like to elaborate a little bit more on BioLife multivitamin. BioLife was formulated so that it had a wide range of vitamins, far more than most vitamins in the marketplace, and the quantity of each ingredient was far greater than most. Well, BioLife is certainly more affordable than most vitamins in the marketplace in terms of quality and price. It's available in a pack of 30, which is a 1 daily dosage, a month's supply, and then we have a family pack, which is a 6-month pack, which if bought in this fashion is even more affordable. By using BioLife multivitamins on an ongoing basis, consistently daily, you'll find that you'll reduce the incidence of disease and you will slow down the aging process. I'm 75 years old and you'll notice that my skin hasn't developed the age lines and the wrinkles that many of my age do have. BioLife is available in the Western Cape and Gauteng in various outlets such as pharmacies and health stores, and if you can't find it at one of those, you could go onto our website, which is www.biolifevitamins.com, and you could order online.
Welcome back, viewers. Garry, before the break, you were telling us a bit about still being in the hospitality industry and the challenges that you get there, and the way you get through those challenges. Can you give our viewers a little bit of advice on how to the challenges that you've gone through? Just if you can give them a bit of advice on how to get through their challenges, on the way that you got through your challenges.
It's very difficult to give advice because everybody obviously has their own challenges. I would say the first thing to do is to make a decision. So sit down with your family, make a decision that you want to change your lifestyle and you want to live a healthy type of lifestyle. I think that's the very first piece of advice that I can give people. The second piece of advice I would like to give is probably some of the best advice I ever got was that it took 10 or 15 or 20 years to pick up weight and to become overweight and to make these unhealthy choices. So to lose the weight and to become healthy can't happen in a week.
Wonderful. Garry, thank you. It was brilliant having you. We really enjoyed you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we're going to the kitchen and we're going to taste that wonderful bread that Johan has prepared for us.
Kykers, ons is weer terug in die kombuis by Johan. Hy het nou vir ons gewys die bestanddele wat hy in hierdie broodjie ingesit het. Hy het vir ons gewys die metode hoe hy hierdie broodjie aan mekaar gesit het. En nou, Johan, nou gaan ons hom eet. Ek kan nie wag.
The pudding is in the eating.
Ek sê jou, ek kan nie wag vir hierdie broodjie
Kom ons
nie.
kyk maar.
Okay. Kykers, ons kan nou 'n bietjie kaas op hierdie broodjie sit, maar weet jy wat? Ek dink die beste is net so met 'n klein bietjie plaasbotter soos Johan sê. Nou sê. Okay, Johan,
Kry vir jou.
kry vir jou.
Okay. Net sien of 'n goeie batch koring was.
O nee. Goeie bekskoring. Cheers.
Ja. 15 jaar terug is ek gediagnoseer met multiple sclerosis. MS is 'n outoimmuun siekte waar jou immuunstelsel sy eie brein doodmaak. Vandag het ek vir jou goeie nuus. Go Natural sal jou lewe verander. 12 jaar terug het ek my tweede kans gekry, ek het hom gevat. En my lewe is heel verander. Net soos ek beheer oor my gesondheid gevat het, so kan jy ook beheer vat oor jou eie gesondheid. Die inligting is daar. Jy kan dit doen. En die oomblik toe ek in die waarheid leef en besef, my liggaam is selfinstandhoudend, hy is self-healing en hy is self-verdediging en ek het hom optimaal gevoed om dit te kan doen. Go Natural, ons boek is beskikbaar in geselekteerde boekwinkels, maar as jy dit nie daar kan kry nie, is beskikbaar op ons webtuiste en ons lewer af deur tot deur reg oor die land. Die voordeel wat jy gaan kry ook aan daai boek is, daai boek het ook 72 resepte. Dit vat die beginsels wat in die boek staan en dan wys dit vir jou hoe dan om 'n voedsel te vervaardig.
Kykers, baie dankie dat julle vanaand by ons 3 gekuier het. Ons wil julle uitnooi om ons webtuiste te besoek en om aan te sluit by die Anti-Die Generation, sodat julle enige inligting wat julle dalk mag kort, wat julle nie na gekyk het nie, of wat julle dalk weer wil besoek, kan in die hande kry. So, gaan besoek gerus ons webtuiste en ons Facebookblad en sluit gerus aan by die Anti-Die Generation. En dan sien ons julle volgende Woensdag, selfde tyd, selfde plek, 8:30. Seën vir julle week en lekker slaap. Tata.